What's going on, everybody? We have our first ever After the Scales After Dark at Ocala Speedway. After Friday night's racing action, we're here with Michael Leach, driver number 09 Dirt Late Model out of Sun River, Montana. Michael, thanks for joining us for this post-race beer. Cheers.
Of course, cheers.
So, Michael, you've been here a long time throughout the week. Since Monday, you've been practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, now Friday night. You've been trying to get in the show. Just talk about this track, how challenging it is. It's your first time here. Just how really difficult it is going in 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 really condensing down and tough competition.
Dude, you're mock Jesus around 1 and 2. Yeah. Like, you never lift. I mean, the feature, maybe they're lifting a tad, but most of the day you never lift. Like, you are balls to the walls around 1 and 2. And then you come up and you creep up on 3 and you shut it down. Like, you have to shut it down. It gets so tight around 3 and 4 if you don't shut it down. If you tried to go wide open around 3 and 4 like you do 1 and 2, you're like, that's a clip. You know what I mean? Like, you're done. That's a bad deal. It's a tricky track for sure.
Yeah. And then going into Saturday night, the final night here, what are your expectations? We saw a really rubbered up track at the end. It was really hammered down the other night, but what do you expect, is going into Saturday?
I don't know. We figured a few things out today. You know what I mean? Found some stuff in the car, found some stuff out with myself driving it, and it's looking pretty good at putting her in the show tonight, for sure. I mean, we had a decent shot tonight. This track is just so one lane most of the time. I mean, it got pretty good during the feature there for a little bit. I think that's where the track needed to be. But, I mean, if you don't qualify up front here, like, it's digging out of a hole with super late models as tough as it is at any other track, but especially at a track like this, like, very, very difficult to come back from that. So I think we'll be able to put her in the show as long as we qualify good tomorrow, for sure.
And kind of looking back, in 2024, you were racing the UMP Modified. You got that big win at East Bay before it closed up. Got the koozie here from East Bay. Rest in peace. But, talk about, racing the UMP Modified. A lot of guys come through that, move up to the Dirt Late Model. Talk about that transition and, how much different the UMP is than the Late Model.
Lots. For sure. Like, I try to make my late model, we set it up, and like everything from the steering wheel to the steering ratio, we set it up to feel like a modified, because I've been in a modified my entire life. Size of the steering wheel, all that stuff. We try to set it up like a mod to make it feel the same, but no matter what you do, it's not the same at all. Like, you have to drive a late model so much harder than a modified. Modifieds are real finicky, you're on the small tire with big horsepower. You got to be really smooth on them. It seems like the rougher you are on these late models and the harder you drive it in there, the better. You know what I mean? So it's pretty flip-flop. It's definitely different. They have the same suspension for the most part, and everything works the same for the most part, but the way they drive is, not close, but not even close. You know what I mean?
And there's not many guys, coming from your area in Montana, especially out on the West Coast. You see late model guys coming from Tennessee, Indiana, North Carolina, Georgia. Talk about, kind of coming from Montana, moving to North Carolina. You had a lot of support from Longhorn. You got one of the best chassis, supporting you. Just talk about that transition and where you're at today in your racing career.
Well, it's different because there's no super late models in Montana. You will never see a super late model in Montana. I mean, maybe a few decades ago, probably. I think the World of Outlaws came through Billings, Montana, which is about 4 hours south of where I grew up. But that was like once or twice, you know what I mean? So there's really no late models up there. When we came down here, there's modifieds up there. So we came down to North Carolina, was racing the modified, and then that's when you see all the super late model stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up watching the World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil, of course, but I never saw it in person. I never got to drive one, you know what I mean? So it was completely different. Like, that was our end goal. Once I moved to North Carolina, racing the mods, I was like, man, I kind of want to get into this late model deal. You know what I mean? These supers, like, it's a different animal for sure. Money to be made, big shows, the fans and everything. Like, once you get down south here and you get into these outlaw shows and these Lucas shows, everything's at a whole new level. You know what I mean? Like, everything's at a whole new level. It's nothing like, little Podunk, Montana, $500 to win. You know what I mean? Like, every week, it's definitely different for sure.
All right. And who were some of your racing heroes growing up?
Racing heroes growing up. Well, number one's going to be my dad, obviously. My dad was racing before I was ever thought about, right? So I grew up into the racing. And 2, my great-grandpa, rest in peace, he died in a sprint car in 1978. So way before I could ever meet him. But people are gonna hate me for this, but I was a little kid, right? My favorite driver in NASCAR growing up was Kyle Busch. Okay, I loved me some Kyle Busch when I was younger. But yeah, definitely I'd say my dad for sure.
Well, yeah,
Biggest for sure.
It's amazing the 180 that people have done on Kyle Busch.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years ago, the guy would get booed like crazy,
Yes.
and now he gets the loudest cheers almost.
Yep. Yeah, that ain't no lie. That ain't no lie. But nowadays, I'm not so much into the NASCAR stuff, so I don't know. Heroes is tough because I'm racing with a few of them right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you don't want to let them know to a certain extent.
Are you ever going to get your hat washed?
No, never. No, never. So people always ask me about my hats, actually. You know what I mean? I have to have a hat for Victory Lane. So every time I get in the car, it sits right on the gear shift. That's how they get that dirty.
All right, post-race drink of choice.
Definitely Busch Light, but if that's not available, vodka cranberry.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Healthy.
And what's your ultimate, your the one race that you want to win more than any other race?
If there's ever another million, obviously that would be badass. But the dome would be
Really?
cool. The dome.
Over the world.
Like,
over
over all the crown jewels.
Yep.
Yeah, they'd be pretty cool, but I mean, the dome is different.
All right, man, I've been dying to know. I must ask you a question.
Oh, shit.
How long you been growing that?
Yes. Yes, seriously, yes.
I'm going to say 6 months.
Oh, shit. We're going on a year now.
A year.
I got 1 year invested in this mustache. And believe me, I wouldn't do this to myself, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do this to myself. This is a girlfriend preference thing.
Okay.
So I had to do it.
So how about if you put it in the show tomorrow? We get the cheapest Bic razor we can find.
Oh, no, dude! I'll take a haircut. But like, this is 1 year, man. Like, that's a commitment. And it looked bad. Like, it looked bad now. It looked way worse the first 8 months. You know what I mean?
All right, give us your favorite line from your favorite racing movie.
Probably break it, Pepe Le Pew. Ricky Bobby.
I don't want to break your arm, Ricky Bobby, but I am a man of my word.
That's right. Pepe Le bitch. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, if you put it in the show tomorrow, how are you going to celebrate?
Can't get too crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But we're definitely going to have a few beers. For sure.
Just beers? We're not doing vodka cranberries?
I mean, those guys over there had some moonshine the other night. They pulled out of nowhere. I don't know where that came from. But, I mean, if it's out tomorrow and we make the show, we have a good night. If we make the show on rec, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Make the show, have a decent run. You know what I mean? We'll have a little fun. See what them boys are doing. See what they're up to. But few beers for sure. Minimum.
What would be more entertaining to visit? Billings, Montana or Hannah, Montana?
Hannah, Montana, for sure, dude. No doubt about it, Hannah, Montana. Yeah.
And we've got some guest questions here. Our boy Smoke wants to join in. He's parked next to Michael in the pits, Donald McIntosh's team, so I'll let him jump in.
All right, so we have a fan question here from Smoke.
Have at it.
Why don't you, since we're hanging out with some Canadians tonight, I'll give you your best Canadian impression,
Oh, fuck, bud. You don't want to get me started, bud. Fuck no.
Come
I'll
on,
fucking run him up and down the track, bud.
Come on,
Not a fucking chance, buddy. Come on now. Fuck that. I'm out.
All right, and just to wrap this up, give us your sponsors, your crew guys, everyone who helps you out. Give them a shout out.
We'll do crew guys first. Dawson Cook, crew chief. And both these guys are new, so I got two crew guys. Dawson Cook, crew chief. He's like 24, just graduated with his engineering degree from Charlotte. You know what I mean? Then very smart guy. And then I got Austin Cobb. He's about 27. His dad works for Longhorn. He's a head late model assembly guy at Longhorn, so that's how I got hooked up with Austin. It's all of our first years like on the road officially, so neither of us are over 30. Like, we're all pretty young for a super late model team, so it's definitely been a learning curve for sure. But no, they've been awesome. We've been doing great. Everyone's gelling pretty good. But no, I got to thank Dust Pods. They're huge. Dust Pods is huge. Willow Ranch, Big Sky Scientific, Longhorn, obviously. Longhorn does a lot for us. They help us out a lot. Bill Steen, Longhorn Dynamics. We got Hellraiser Jacks hopped on this year. supplying us with some free jacks every now and again. So that's been pretty cool because they have got the baddest ass jacks in the business. You can lift up a super late model with one pinky on that thing. Like, it's ridiculous, right? But no, all those guys, they help us out a bunch, help us get up and down the road. Hoping to pick up a few more sponsors this year, but you got to run good. You know what I mean? So
If Tide is looking getting back into racing, we could get that hat clean.
that's right.
Tide.
Amen.
Tide, let's go.
I need some pods for sure. I use them all the time.
All right, Michael Leach, it's been a pleasure, man. Good luck
Likewise.
tomorrow. We'll see you down the road.